We are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Mitch and Alex show. He's Mitch, I'm Alex, and our special guest for today is the Dark Prince, Aries.
Hop in.
How are you, Aries?
I made it.
You made it. Aries hasn't been at training for the last few weeks, but he's here today. We thought we'd get him on the podcast.
And we don't always have a special guest. Like
No,
you gotta be part of the crew. You gotta be here at training to get on the show. It's all right.
Yeah, just leave it like that.
I'm happy to be off to the side. So here I am.
I got it. Yeah,
Whoa.
Whoa. How was your week, Mitch?
It's been a good week. We All-Star wise, we announced this man who'll be defending his Eastern States title on August 12th against Morgan Rose in Newcastle. And that's going to be a banger match because I don't know if you know this, Alex Box, but last time they wrestled in Casino, it was a absolute banger. They worked a main event and it was incredible.
I can't say I was there.
We went all over the joint.
Yeah.
I don't know if that match has ever been released, but
Is that in the archives? Have you got a copy of that?
I would have a copy of it somewhere, but if not, I know he definitely does. Just a great match in a little town in northern New South Wales. So I'm looking forward to see what they do in front of a Newcastle audience. Also, what else did we announce? Keegan's match for Padstow, August 19th.
A J-Law rules?
J-Law rules match. I don't know what he has planned, but Keegan, it seems like he's definitely going to have to overcome quite a bit before.
Yeah, well, I mean, considering he's J-Law, you'd think it'd be a following the rules kind of match, you know?
Absolutely would be. Like, he is a policeman after all.
Yeah. He is.
Apart from that, there's been some controversy, which we'll touch on. And
There is.
I know that you've got some questions from all of our great listeners and watchers. So we can absolutely answer all of those. You've been telling me there's been a lot of great questions.
There were some great questions put in. And as always, if you guys have any questions, chuck them in the chat. We'll get to them.
Of course, yep. We're very interactive. That's why we're live.
We did promise a pretty not controversial. We promised an episode that would maybe cause some controversy, I guess. But
I don't think so.
It has been an interesting week, and there's been some things addressed, and I think Mitch wanted to jump on and address those things. So, did you want to get into it?
Yeah. So, for those unaware, there was a Piers Austin podcast on Tuesday or Wednesday,
Something like that. Yeah.
and then there was this big hubbub.
Hubbub.
Is that a word?
I don't know.
Aries comment.
I don't know what's about.
Hubbub. There was a big drama, and I don't know. There was a post written. I know you've got the post box.
I do.
So before we go into the post, with Piers Austin, that's the fellow who I think I mentioned that he's the fellow, but
yeah.
Piers Austin is the one that has the beef, and I have to comment on it. I didn't want to comment on it. I hate drama in wrestling.
He does hate drama.
Like when I was running shows in Wollongong, nobody ever had an issue with me. But you come to Sydney and you start drawing some crowds, and suddenly it's like, oh, you know, I got heat with this guy and this guy. So with Piers Austin, I don't even know him very well. I've met him once.
Get in the shot.
All right. I don't know Piers Austin very well. My first kind of interactions with him were around this time last year. I didn't interact with him. Someone on his behalf said, Piers Austin, he's this big podcast guy. Could he possibly come to your St. Mary's show for free? Which, as you recall, was Chris Masters' show. Yep. And I said, hey, Piers wanted to talk to me about something. I think he wanted to be the ring announcer for All-Star. We already had a ring announcer. So I said, well, we've already got a ring announcer that we're happy with, which is Phil, the ring announcer. Shout out to Phil. But he's more than welcome to come. I was insistent that he buys a ticket, though, because we don't do comp tickets typically, unless you're a sponsor or, you're an assistant for someone with disabilities. Like we do the companion card thing. But just because you run a podcast doesn't mean you're going to get into an All-Star show for free.
I paid for every ticket.
That's right. Yeah. And that's the rule for most people.
Yeah.
There's very few exceptions. So after that, like, I don't know if he took offense to it or whatever, but he would bring on like all-star guys. Like he had Ryan Eagles, he had Caesar, B-Boy, I think was on after that, and Jasmine. And like he would reference anything but all-star.
Yeah.
So he seems to have this beef with all-star. At least it seemed like that for me. Maybe I'm way off. Maybe I'm paranoid. a lot of paranoia in Aussie wrestling.
There is.
Anyway, then he came and worked an All-Star show, and we met, and he was a bit standoffish, which, gives credibility to my thought that maybe there was an issue. And then did the show, a bit standoffish. We talked a little bit, and then I haven't seen him or spoken to him since maybe 3 weeks ago, where he wanted me on the Piers Austin podcast. Jump on. It's cancelled due to personal reasons I won't mention out of respect for him.
Mhm.
And then I had a personal commitment on the day that he wanted me. Nothing serious. I wasn't available at the time. So that's my history with him. So yeah, you're welcome to read what he said via Facebook, Twitter, all sorts of things. And I will comment as you go.
Yeah, so he just said, I would like to address a matter regarding my guest California on last night's episode of Shooting the Shit Uncensored.
Yep.
Carl had relayed his first-hand account regarding a performer and some of the performer's alleged actions.
So I got to stop you right there. He says first-hand account.
Yeah.
So not to cause drama right off the top, but it's actually second-hand.
Yeah.
First-hand means that you're there. So that's already wrong, but keep going.
First-hand account regarding a performer and some of the performer's alleged actions toward other associates. Prior to this episode, I was contacted by promoter Mitch Kristen, to relay All Stars' official statement on my show.
Yep.
Mitch felt that I needed to understand both. So what was your, reason behind sending?
So I
this statement?
I did want him to understand both sides of the story, because that's I've studied journalism. No, I'm not fully qualified, but I did 2 years of journalism. So we touched on media law and media ethics and all that. And any good journalist, I'm not saying Piers Austin's a journalist, because I don't think he's ever called himself one.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do something like this in a public domain where you have a small audience, that's not a criticism, it's just factual. A small audience that is going to listen to what you have to say, you should make sure that you got both sides of the story. So I sent my statement through just to give him what's the word? To give him context.
Yeah.
And I also mentioned that maybe we should 100% make sure that the story is correct, because there is a situation here that could affect someone's life, could affect my life and my business. Let's just make sure we get everything right before we go public.
Yep.
And so Piers Austin read it at 3 or 4 p.m., which was maybe 4 or 5 hours before he went live. And because he wants views, and this is his shtick, he wanted views, and an allegation would lead to big views.
Yeah.
Or so he thought. I think the video has 200 and something views. So you're almost outdoing him, and you're 4 weeks in. But
Not that that's...
well, it shows that the controversy wasn't even worth it. You're throwing someone under the bus for, the equivalent of 250 views. So yeah, I felt it was very important that he knows both sides of the story, and any person would. I mean, there's lives at stake here. Not lives like someone's going to die, but people read allegations and they believe them, which is what we're going through now.
Yeah.
So
and you've had that happen previously, which we touched on.
Yeah, but I was very lucky that the allegations on me were only believed for, maybe an hour. But it's horrifying.
Yeah. When
you read something about you that's not true, and yeah, it's horrifying, and I don't want anyone to ever go through that.
Yeah.
Continue with his statement.
With all honesty, I didn't feel the need to give this any thought. I like to give the platform to discuss anything that, therefore, having us in my head that was dedicated to listening, respond.
Yeah, and look, that's fair. But when it comes to like that, I think it's important to, if someone says, "Hey, we've done an investigation," and we did a pretty big investigation. We took it super seriously. We really talked to everyone we could, and so many people have said that Inferi is not reputable and that the story is false.
Well, those allegations that are being thrown out aren't small allegations.
They're not.
Yeah,
No, they're
but
life affecting.
They're criminal charges.
Yeah, criminal as well. Yes.
Where was I?
Apart from with what he says about wanting to give the floor to the guest, that's fine. But if the guest is making false statements, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a big problem.
If something he stated wanted to be discussed by any other member of Australian wrestling, then like everyone else, they can reach out to me after the show and arrange a time to come on as my guest to discuss their thoughts.
Now, see, why should it have to be that?
He says, "This is how I operate my business, and I will not change that for anyone."
So first of all, it's not criticizing him, but he's not making money off this. Second of all, why am I going to jump on to say, hey, this is how I feel about things and open myself up to a guy that I don't really trust anymore because he's just posted false allegations and tried to throw me under the bus as well. Why would I do that?
Yeah.
I've given him my statement. You could have read it. And he's on his podcast going, I don't know what they're thinking, bro. But it's in your inbox. I appreciate it. He always throws a bro in there. But like that was the case. Like it's in the inbox. You knew what we were thinking. You knew that we'd done the investigation.
Yeah.
But because you wanted to have allegations in your title, you know, that you overlooked that, which I think is really wrong.
Yeah. Furthermore, and most importantly, I would like to make it abundantly clear I am not anyone's messenger or PA, personal assistant.
Yeah, nobody asked him to be.
Yeah.
He's just asking him to tell both sides of the story.
I had arranged to have Mitch on my show a fortnight prior and even met his ridiculous list of demands in order to give him the platform to discuss anything he liked,
Yeah.
given his name has been mentioned repeatedly over recent weeks.
Yeah, so let's comment on the ridiculous demands because they weren't very
Yeah,
ridiculous.
you told them to me, and I thought
Yes.
they were.
So my number one was, let's see if I can remember. They're so small that I will struggle to remember them. I wanted to promote All Stars upcoming events.
Yeah.
Why would I do a podcast if I wasn't going to promote something?
Yeah.
Then I wanted to be one-on-one because what he wanted to talk about was obviously the Mikey Lord situation. And that's a traumatic thing for everyone here at All Stars. So I would have preferred it to be a one-on-one thing. And he asked me that, and I told him it's just a comfort thing. It's nothing against Zuko, who we wanted to do the interview with. I like Zuko. I've known Zuko since I was a kid. But that was the situation, and I wanted it to be live for the interactive, like we're doing here.
Yeah.
Because if someone brings up a pertinent view or opinion, we could have touched on that.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted. It wasn't ridiculous demands. I didn't say I want, $1,000 in unmarked bills. And
Also, at that point, you wanted to promote this podcast because we just
yes,
been
of course.
starting
Yep,
up.
I forgot. Yeah, I wanted to promote this as well so that build a little bit more of a fan base.
Yeah.
So it's not ridiculous at all in my comfortable with that. Like with me, I put myself in the public eye somewhat.
Yeah.
This podcast.
Yeah.
But like she doesn't want to be talked about on Piers Austin's podcast, and that was never even something that he wanted to bring up. So
No comment. The fans have always will take through. I'm sure fans will not support a company that can.
view first of all.
Yeah.
He's not taking a no comment stance on it. It's obvious that he believes it. And then he says if the accusations are proven to be true, well, the people won't have to decide them because if they're true, we just won't book the guy.
Yeah.
Like I've got a duty of care for all the wrestlers, staff, audience members. So if we're in that position, then of course we act accordingly. But the issue is 150,000 people have seen the post, 8,000 people have engaged with it. I've actively encouraged people 3 or 4 times. If they have any evidence, just go into the All-Star email.
Yeah.
Send us an email. Nobody has.
Mitch, who a few weeks prior publicly stated that he would blacklist anyone who worked in show as another talent with whom he has issues with, is now alluding that we shouldn't blacklist based on lack of evidence is rather hypocritical. And given my experiences with All-Star, Mitch, and other key talent there, I don't find any of it worthy of further spotlight, and I will not comment further on this issue or All-Star moving forward.
Yeah, so read that first part again.
Mitch, who a few weeks prior publicly stated that he would blacklist anyone who works the same show.
Yeah, so he's talking about Mikey Lord. So the difference between Mikey Lord and the accused in this matter is that the Mikey Lord situation is proven.
Yeah.
How Piers Austin doesn't understand this, I don't know. But there's a difference between what Mikey did, he's been charged for.
Yeah.
There's criminal charges. There's a lot of his shit that he's openly admitted to. All this is just one guy who, mind you, he had a beef with the company in Perth that has said something. Maybe the story is true, but with what happened afterwards, when In Fury's story changed, it suddenly went from the stuff that I said on the podcast with Piers was never true.
Yeah.
That's what he said the next day. It was never true. You've got it there.
Yeah.
What does he say?
Colin Fury says, just a correction on something said on this podcast. My friend was 14 at the time, not 15.
Mhm.
And he was asked if he could have his ass touched for $50 on Facebook Messenger,
Yep.
not in person at the movies. And the sex talk took place online when the lad only wanted to talk wrestling.
So that brings into question In Fury's validity because his story's changed.
Yeah.
Legally, and I've checked this with someone within law enforcement, legally, that would bring up massive red flags.
Yeah.
There's so many questions in that statement that I can't believe that it's true anymore. And Piers Austin still has his podcast up with these false allegations, openly admitted false allegations in there from In Fury. There's no retraction. There's nothing stated that there's been a change in story. It's Piers Austin still just trying to peddle this story when there's evidence from the guy in question that the story isn't correct.
I mean, I guess like this statement here is kind of alluding to the fact that the alleged situation was worse than what he initially
Of course,
said on
yeah,
the
because it wasn't getting enough heat.
Yeah.
So suddenly we're going to make it worse. Now, what I will say is I spoke to people over in Perth after the interview, and they said that In Fury is not reputable at all, and that the story is a fabrication, and the people he's talking about was 16 to 17 at the time, not 14. Not that that makes it better,
No.
but it brings into question, again, the validity of the story.
Yeah.
I personally don't believe that the story is true.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that have looked at it and kind of just taken it at face value rather than.
Of course, and because their allegations are getting an emotional response out of people. You know, like nobody likes to hear that shit happen.
Yeah.
Nobody supports that and says, I like this.
Yeah.
You know, it's a disgraceful thing. But you got to work with evidence in 2023. There's so many false allegations. Like, look at the football situation with Jack DeBellin.
Yeah.
That man was accused of rape, lost his career for 2 years over it, and then was later found to be innocent. It happens all the time. So, and there's plenty of wrestling examples of people as well, like Jerry Lawler. He apparently didn't do what he's accused of doing. So you got to work with evidence in this. And anyone who's not open to working with the evidence clearly has an agenda, which I think Piers does.
Yeah.
I think he's got something against All Star, and you look at the people he's associated with; they all have an issue with me. There's all sorts of shit about me, like that's not true. People think that I'm this egotistical, arrogant jerk off, but I'm not. I'm a nice guy. I buy McDonald's for the students.
You do.
I'm a good guy, but because I have some success in Australian wrestling, and I'm not even number one.
No.
Just had some success. People get jealous and they're like, oh, well, we got to take this guy down a peg. And it's sad and it's pathetic and all that.
Yeah. I think it's, like I said, like the last, I guess you could say since the Mikey podcast, everything's kind of just come up again.
It's been
thing after thing,
it's
you
been
know.
4 to 5 weeks of people trying to tear me, All Star, my friends from All Star down.
Yeah.
And like it does affect the mental health. Like luckily I'm in a good spot mental health wise, but I do have days when my mental health is bad.
Yeah.
Luckily I haven't had to face this on a day where my mental health is bad because it's just going to make me a lot worse.
Yeah.
And Piers should understand this because he went through a situation a few months back with the Tyson Gibbs podcast. And Tyson said something and he received harassment and threats.
Yeah.
And I saw that and I felt so bad for Piers.
Yeah.
And like that's what happens with us now. Like we make a post every day where we're receiving harassment from people. You tried to put up an NGL thing for this podcast.
Yeah.
People are sending you harassment. You're just a student at the school. Like it's not ending and people keep peddling it. And I 100% there is no evidence to the claim. It's just a claim. And yeah, it's a shit spot to be in for me because it's constant and it jabs away.
And I
Maybe
think
mental health.
I think no matter what, like regardless of whether it's like it's proven to not be true, there's always going to be some people that every time Orlando's on a show, you could have people yelling shit out or Postmate again, and it's just like
Yeah,
that'll never
and
go
it's
away.
it's not fair because there's no. If there was evidence, I'd be with everyone else.
Yep.
But like I've probably investigated it more than anyone else because I took it so seriously.
Yeah.
And there's nothing there. There's nothing there. So until proven otherwise, I would ask people very nicely to stop harassing the All-Star social media team, the students of the school who are just trying to do a podcast, and everyone else involved, because it's a bit sad and it is bordering on bullying and harassment for them. You're not getting to me. I put myself out there, but the other people, it's not right for them either.
Is there anything further that you want to say on the matter?
No, I got it off my chest and I feel good about it. Like I don't need to comment on it further. And Piers said he's not going to comment further, and that's the mature response.
Yeah.
All I'd like to say is if Piers does have beef, just reach out. Like I'm not this big scary guy. I will talk to anyone who has beef with me, as Keegan said on the first day, and I did as well. If you got beef, just come and talk to me. Like you don't need to go public. And it's funny because Piers on his podcast always says, "Oh, if anyone has an issue with me, just hit me up privately."
Yeah,
and he goes public. But if you got an issue, just message me.
Yeah,
like we're Facebook friends. He can talk to me. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Well, I think now that we've touched on it and it's out there.
Is there any comments before we move on? Because if someone's got some questions that I haven't covered, I'd love to answer them.
There's no questions on this matter.
Okay.
Shay Costello says, "That's so true, Mitch."
I appreciate that, Shay.
Also says, "I love Aries, Keegan, and Jasmine." Well, we have the Dark Prince Aries right here, who's on his phone.
He's very intelligently been very quiet during
He
it.
has been. I'm gonna.
Aries, what's been going on in your life? I haven't seen you for 2 weeks.
Yeah, what's been going on? You kind of just dropped off.
Actually, no, I saw you at Bash at the Bay, but that's the only time
That
I've
was
seen
the
you.
last time we saw you.
It's just the life of being a parent.
Yeah.
I understand.
Disappear sometimes.
No, you
Yeah.
don't. You're
No, but I understand. I got a lot of friends with children,
Fair
you know,
enough.
old man like me.
Disappearing some things because some things are just as bad as it sounds, they're just more important to deal with than other things.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, you got to prioritize in life.
However, not so important as Fortnite can be. We played the other night at like 4 a.m. and we got a nice win, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
How many attempts before you got the win though?
That was our first game.
Our first game,
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then we hopped off after that. We're like, one, we win, that's it, we're done.
You wouldn't have got that win with me in there.
No, I reckon we would have.
No,
Me and Aries over here were doing really well.
I'm a liability on that game. I gotta do some solo runs and practice. I haven't played Xbox in a while.
Yeah. Joel Southgate says, when are we playing Fortnite, lads? Hit me up. Look,
I've played Fortnite with Southie before.
Is he good?
I don't remember.
I was gonna say, Southie, you gotta just like Mitch, when a wrestler wants to wrestle at All Star, they have to submit a wrestling resume in 2 clips. I want to see 2 of your best Fortnite clips. Send them to the Mitch and Alex show.
With a resume.
With a resume. Give us your total
Experience.
kills. Give us your total kills of all time, and give us your total account level, and I'll let you know.
These guys will
Hours
play
you've
with you, I'm
played.
sure.
Yeah, I
Southie.
don't know how many hours you played. I've hit like over 4,000 hours on Fortnite.
Damn.
That's like baby hours, bro.
That's good value for money, though,
It is.
considering
For
the
a
game
free
is
game.
free.
Yeah. Mate, I'm officially taken, no longer single, lads. Congrats, Southgate.
Congrats. Yeah. It's always good. No, it's always nice to hear that people find love or find a relationship. Like that's the positivity that I'd like to bring to this podcast today, since we started with the negativity. So congrats, Joel. I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
So are these guys.
Yeah, we're very, very happy for you, even though you support a shit team. Good win yesterday, though.
Oh, I got nothing against the Knights, to be honest.
I'm not a fan. Problem is, she's an Eels fan. Oh, you found a beauty, Southgate. Good job, mate.
He's in the same.
Congratulations.
He's in the same situation as Keegan. His partner is a Eagles fan.
Yeah, Jasmine Brettle's an Eels fan. Massive respect to Jasmine. She's also a gun Fortnite player, so I hear.
I've never played a game with Jasmine.
Allegedly. She says she's better than Keegan, which isn't that hard to do. Sorry,
Yeah,
Keegan.
Keegan isn't very good at Fortnite, to be honest. Not
Hey,
that I'm
Keegan
better.
saved us a couple times.
Then again, look, I will say, Keegan sent a message to the group chat the other day, and it was 22 kill solo win. So Shout out to Big Keegsy B for that one.
I feel like we're losing the people with the Fortnite talk.
Yeah, we are. Look, let's get into these questions that were sent on the NGL.
Now I'm excited for this because the All Star page does its own NGLs, and sometimes I take part in those. And I did say to Box that I wanted to go into these cold, so he said there's some good
Oh,
ones.
No, the one before that.
Yeah, it's that one.
So we'll let Box go in cold with them, and
Yeah.
Aries, maybe you can chime in as well.
An anonymous person asks, when are we going to see Joel Southgate on the podcast?
You got to join the wrestling school, Joel. It's a wrestling school podcast. It's all the people here at the All Star HQ, as they.
I'm interested with this one. Favorite drink, Mitch? It's very specific, isn't it?
Yeah, my beverage of choice is Pepsi,
But
it needs to be room temp, and that's how I've got the nickname in some circles around the All Star locker room as Room Temp Mitch, which I like. I like that nickname, Room Temp Mitch.
Aries, what is your favorite drink?
It's not an answer that you think it is, but it's actually golden. The golden passions that you can get from Woolies. And
The ones in the cartons, those are good.
I got to mention with my choice as well, not warm, because a lot of people assume room temp means warm.
No.
Not warm, just room temp.
Yeah.
So if it's a hot day, I'll drink it hot. If it's a cold day, I'll drink it cold.
Cool.
Yep.
What's the most embarrassing thing you've ever done?
I don't know. I don't get embarrassed very easily.
Hit a DDT on me.
We'll tell that story if you want. We were in training, and not that I was showing anything. I was just messing around. I leave the training to the trainers.
Yeah.
But I do know how to do a DDT. So I whipped him, and I went for the DDT, and I DDT'd him, and I guess I landed it wrong, or he landed it wrong. I'll blame it on you.
Yeah, blame it on me.
You landed it wrong, and I hurt my finger, and it's been sore for 3 weeks. So I'm not doing anything, and because I'm old, it takes a long time to recover.
Yeah, it's been almost a month now, and you've
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Aries, what's the most embarrassing thing you've ever done?
Oh gosh, I don't get embarrassed. But if we're gonna talk about in the eyes of other people, it's embarrassing. Every time I go shopping with my mom, we do the Tango and Kmart.
That's cute.
It's not embarrassing to me, but my dad's walked away from us being like, I don't know them.
Yeah. This one's a good one. What is your favorite finishing move in All Star?
I like Aries' Spanish fly.
I'm like, what's your answer, Mitch?
Apart from Aries, though,
Spice down here is giving the death stare.
I think
I liked the Eagles Brainbuster.
Mm.
I like the Wes Cutter. I like the Keegan Splash, but he doesn't
Yeah.
do it too much
I
now.
do like the Keegan Splash. I like the Keegsy Hangover.
I'm not a huge Keegsy hangover guy. I prefer the Splash.
Yeah, fair enough.
Who else has a cool finish? I like Luke Watts' Shooting Star.
That's
Those are some of my favorites. Luke Watts does a nice Shooting Star.
Where's Williams Cutter?
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Nope.
What's your favorite All Star finisher apart from your own Spanish fly?
I like Hell Yeah spinning back kick.
Ooh,
That's a good one too.
that is a good one. That's a great one.
I like B-Boy Stinger.
Yeah, B-Boy Stinger.
B-Boy's Stinger isn't really it.
Think about it, if he clocks you in the head. Good night.
Give that one a miss.
Yeah. We got some new ones, I think.
Yeah.
What is your biggest fear?
I don't know. It's a tough one. These are questions that I really should have prepared for instead of going in cold.
Yeah.
I've got an answer if you want to give yourself a second.
Yeah. You answer.
We've got an answer here. Cameron Keep says that rolling ankle lock that Johnny Starbloke does is pretty. Oh, I don't know, pure.
It
Nice-
is.
nice-
It's a
nice
nice.
play on words
It's
there.
a nice
That was good one,
move.
Cameron
Yeah.
Keep.
I got out of that move and pinned him, so
Oh,
you say what you want to say.
Hope Johnny Star doesn't see that one.
Yeah, Johnny Star doesn't see that one.
Well, my biggest fear
Is Johnny Star's rolling ankle lock?
no, it's being on planes.
Really?
Think about it. When you're in the air, you've got no control of anything.
Mm.
If it goes sweet,
If we're talking of phobias, I guess mine would be spiders.
You're a spider guy.
I'm a spider guy. I hate spiders.
I pick spiders up.
Yeah, I can't deal with them.
I pick
And
cockroaches up by their antennas.
Oh, that yeah.
cockroaches, I don't have a problem with.
Yeah.
Snakes, I don't have a problem with. But
Snakes, you don't have a problem
nah.
with that.
You have a problem with the flying ones.
Flying snakes.
No,
Flying
the
cockroaches.
flying cockroach.
I think I'd have a problem with that. Yeah, but
flying snakes.
spiders. I remember once when I was like 19 or 20.
Long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I had like a panic attack because a spider, a big huntsman, crawled on me, and I didn't like that at all. Like it was really a traumatic event, and yeah, just never liked spiders.
You know, huntsmen are non-venomous to humans, right?
Yeah, but I'm scared of spiders. It doesn't matter if they're venomous.
With a name like a huntsman,
You would assume that they are,
scared.
but they're not. No, they're pretty harmless.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
I've had funnel webs out the back of my door.
Now, people coming to the shows, please don't bring me spiders or
fake
spider
ones.
memorabilia or try and scare me because that won't go well.
Cameron Keep says having a sit-down breakfast with Birdman. That's my biggest fear.
That's my biggest dream.
Having a sit-down like tea party breakfast with the Birdman. Or when is Dancing Dave making his in-ring debut? We are so excited for him. He is so good looking too. Wonder who threw that one in there.
Probably Dancing Dave,
Probably
to be honest.
Dancing Dave.
I think everyone's slated to debut sometime in October.
Wow.
So, graduate in October, probably do matches November. So,
Right.
hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, look, I thought I had. I don't know if some people deleted their questions. I had some more good ones in there, but they've disappeared. That's okay.
What were they at the top of
I
your head?
can't remember.
Oh, my
I can't
goodness.
remember. Oh, one of them was favorite entrance music in All Star. What is your favorite entrance music in All Star? Tell me whatever you tell me.
I like Seven Nation Army.
Yeah, that's a classic.
I do like Aries as well.
You take credit for Seven Nation Army.
I do, yeah, but I don't get given credit for it. I did like Eagles's.
Yeah.
Who else is out there? I like Otis's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I'm
Fall Out
always-
Boy.
I'm always dancing to Wes's theme song. That nothing can break me
Yeah,
down.
Wes has got a good one, but you know, the Puppeteer, and we haven't managed to hear his song yet, unless you've been at a collective one. But
Or Bateman's Bay.
Bateman's Bay didn't play for a very long time.
The Puppeteers.
Oh, yeah.
But he comes out to like this French song about dancing, and it is so catchy. Like,
Yeah, it's great. Credit to the guy who threw that one in there. You're an absolute champion.
yes, yeah, maybe a Frenchman.
Maybe a Frenchman. You'd assume so, considering it's French.
Yeah, it is. It's all in French. It's a banger.
What's your favorite theme song, other than your own? Because I know you'd say your own.
Wes.
Mine, Wes. Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Joel Southgate says Aries' theme song is a banger. It is a banger.
It is,
And
yeah.
it's such a good song.
And it took him so long to find it.
Oh,
So
Aries is synonymous in All Star for having his I think it was like 4 or 5 shows in a row. He had a different theme song because he couldn't.
You gotta find the right one that sticks, and here we are.
And
See?
here we are.
he was finding himself.
Yeah.
His hair changes every show as well.
Yeah, he's got a haircut.
We got a haircut
Yeah.
now.
Like he's a ever changing person, but I guess that's
He's like
part
Chris
of
Jericho. He keeps evolving.
I'm always unique.
Yep.
Never the same.
respect.
Indeed. Well, seeing as I don't think you're going to be here much longer, you've got to go soon. But
What time is it? Oh, yeah.
just quickly, tell us about your match at Newcastle. Are you excited to be facing Morgan Rose?
I'm very excited to be facing Morgan Rose. I know that, one thing's for certain, we're going to put on a really good match. So it's going to be a really good opening for the people in Newcastle coming to watch the show. I reckon it will be definitely something for people for our first show being in Newcastle to be like, this is a good show to stick around and keep watching. You know,
It's a taste of All Star.
yeah,
It is,
and it's gonna be a mouthful to get them started with, and they're gonna be hungry for more.
Yeah.
And the incredible part of that match is it's 2 guys under the age of 25 that are so, not to blow smoke, but so good at their craft.
They are.
And they're put in this position of being the opening contest of our expansion into a new market. So it's a lot of pressure for them, but I know that they'll hit it out of the park. It'll be a great match. And fingers crossed that Aries picks up the win, because I don't think I'd want to see Morgan Rose with 2 belts. He's
Aries,
way too arrogant.
Aries definitely does thrive under pressure. He's like a diamond.
Well, I would say my score against Morgan Rose is pretty good.
Yeah.
You
So
beat him
I've got
once.
Twice.
What?
Maybe. I
Oh,
think
there
twice.
was a match at Bateman's Bay, I think. Or maybe you wrestled Otis there.
And I did Casino, I won.
Yep.
And then,
I think that's it.
beat
him in-
my brain's going.
You know what? He's in the future. He
I
thinks
did-
that Newcastle's already passed. And
The
That's right.
handicap with him and Otis.
Oh, but you lost that one.
I held my own very well.
You did.
You did. Yeah.
You did. You defended the
It was a
title.
respectable
I
effort.
did by myself.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a great
And,
night. Mitch, would you like to tell us about the rest of Newcastle? What we can expect?
I think we already plugged it last week, but it's Wes versus Otis for the All-Star title. It's Billy Mack and Jesse Daniels versus the Brettles, which is going to be pretty exciting. Aries versus Morgan Rose, of course, and Orlando will be in action. Orlando Jordan. And I guess we can call him controversial, despite him not
Being controversial.
being controversial.
Well, I mean,
but
was it put out on social media that he issued an open challenge?
yeah, he's looking for a challenge. He named all sorts of people, so we'll see what happens.
It would be interesting to see who, because there's a plethora of talent who could step up and really shine.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a blank slate. Like a lot of the, like we've got a little bit of a fan base in Newcastle. I'd say maybe 15 to 20 people that regularly come down to Padstow. But a lot of the people, hopefully, are going to be new fans that are sampling the product for the first time. So we'll see. It's a blank slate for everyone. You know, the biggest star of Newcastle might not necessarily be the biggest star of Padstow.
Interesting. That is very interesting. And then we've got Proving Grounds, August 19th, Padstow.
Yeah, and that's an
Where,
exciting one too.
Mr. Hardy Production says, when is Dancing Dave coming into All Star? Well, if you were
Already.
here earlier, we touched on that.
Yeah, we already answered that one.
Come on, Chief. Pick up your game. You should be here from the start.
Hardy Productions is late to
Yeah.
the podcast.
Not happy, Jan. Too Sweet Matty Chu says, I'll take him in regards to Orlando Jordan.
Maybe.
Probably not.
Is there another question there?
Shea Costello says, Aries, congratulations on winning the belt, which was a couple shows ago.
yeah, I won it against
April
Jack Sullivan
1st. April 1st, yeah.
Wow.
in the first ever All-Star ladder match.
Wow. That's a big accomplishment because you're looking 20 years if Mitch can still be bothered to have All-Star around.
Oh, who knows with all the drama? You know?
Yeah, who knows? In 20 years, you'll look back and there'll have been, countless ladder matches, but Aries can always say that he was in the first.
You'd be like Razor and Sean.
Yeah. That was a good ladder match. And then you had the 3 stages of hell match.
I did.
He did the second 3 stages of hell.
Yeah.
That match was
Well, three levels of hate.
And that's the PG version. Look, we were trying to do family-friendly wrestling. Please.
Just quickly, so I can explain. I was doing some research on the glory days of All Star, as Mitch likes.
The
to
days
call
where
it.
there was no drama and I could sleep without feeling anxious that someone's going to comment on our page.
Yeah.
False allegations.
Yeah, I was looking on Cage Match and having a look at the first few All Star shows, and there was a match. I can't remember who was in it, but it was a 3 stages of hell match. Really, a 2 out of 3 falls match. Because that's what it is. But it's the falls are not regular wrestling matches. It was a 3 levels of hate match.
Yep.
The PG version of the 3 stages of hell. So I found that really funny. I keep ribbing Mitch about it. But,
Hey, I don't mind it as a name, to be honest.
yeah,
If you had to go PG, 3 levels of hate, not too bad.
fair enough.
Sounds like a very angry toddler. 3 stages of hate. Don't know, Charlie, huh?
Mr. Hardy Productions says, how do you feel about the Newcastle show? Mate, we just answered that too.
We answered that last week.
We did answer that last week.
We're excited about it. Newcastle, we hope it's a success. There's a great wrestling city up there, great wrestling fans. The wrestling fans that come down to Padstow from Newcastle, they're very passionate people, and we really like them. So we hope that there's hundreds of them there on August 12th.
I think it'll be good. So if anyone here is from Newcastle, any of the 4 current viewers that we have, any of you are around Newcastle or even in Sydney and you want to make a trip up, I think it'll be a great show. How are the tickets going? Over 50% of ringside has been sold, I think.
Yes. Yep. Over 50% of ringside's been sold. So
So get in there.
we're still a month out too.
Yeah, we are. Wow. That's our next show, isn't it? Wow.
Because we were meant to run a bunch of shows this month. Like we were meant to be involved in the Sydney City Showdown with FWA, but then that situation went pear-shaped. So we've kind of just got this big gap now. But look, we'll be back in 4 weeks. It's not a big deal. And then we've got this hectic schedule that I'm not looking forward to at all. And you're
Yeah.
heavily involved in that too.
That's all right. Aries loves it.
He doesn't.
There's
No, I do. I'm the only person that keeps telling you, let's go back on tour. Let's go back on
Oh
tour.
well, when we went to Leeton, Aries wasn't enjoying it too much, and we're going to Narandra, which is very close by.
Let's not talk about Leighton.
We won't talk about Leeton,
We're going to talk about Leighton.
but Narandra is very
Sorry.
Narandra's very close by, so
I was
Aries
gonna
might
say,
not enjoy it.
Isn't Leeton where the puppeteer was first discovered for All Star?
Yes, I don't know if we've told the story. Have we told the story publicly?
I don't think we have.
So the puppet, he was someone that Keegan Brettle knew. He said, "Hey, I know this guy. He's a bit of a character. He can wrestle. You know, give him a shot." And we didn't have a lot of guys that were keen to go to Leeton, as you can imagine. So the puppet came down, and I shook his hand, and then he immediately started doing ring crew. He was grabbing boards by himself and just carrying them, putting them on the ring. And I was baffled because I'd never seen that before. For those that don't know, the All-Star boards are massive.
They are incredibly heavy. Like it takes the average person 2 people to carry these boards, and even then, they're still
3 people after a show.
Yeah, it's constructional lumber. So he's carrying it by himself and putting it on the truck. And I had to take a video, and then we're like, oh, this guy, he's entertaining and he's got a cool character. Let's see how he goes. And he's taken the ball and run with it.
Yeah, he went from, he was in the Survival of the Fittest Rumble in February, and then down at Bateman's Bay, he had a tag team title shot with B-Boy. He's
wrestled the biggest show of the year, Knights Remember.
Yeah.
Got to wrestle J-Law and J-Law's All-Star debut.
That was, the puppeteer is on an incredible rise.
He is, yep.
I've had a match with the puppeteer. He's actually really good.
I mean, you'd think after years on the French circuit, he'd
Yeah, but those were different to pro wrestling. You know, in those days, you just had to batter someone. You know, here he's in the ring with trained professionals that know what they're doing. So he's picking up quickly now that he's in the professional circuit, and you know he'll probably pick up some wins soon, I think.
Too Sweet Matty Chew says puppeteer is low key Brock Lesnar.
That's true. He's you wouldn't expect him to be so strong, but he's
deceptively
incredibly
strong.
Deceptively strong. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Box, someone mentioned the most embarrassing moment for me personally, but do you want to talk about the most embarrassing moment for All-Star?
For All Star?
For All-Star, not for me.
Is this a match that involved one-on-one with someone with a cowboy hat? Where you got very angry? Or is it something?
No, not that one.
I don't know what we're talking about.
So we went and did this. We went in October last year. We went and did this tour.
Yeah.
So we did a Padstow show on the Friday, and Charlie Haas was meant to be there, and he didn't get on the plane. I don't think we've ever talked about that either.
We have plenty of time. We have 25 minutes.
All right, I'll tell that story next. But we did the Padstow show on the Friday. Then we immediately got into the truck and drove must have been 9 hours to Casino. And we slept in the auditorium of the building, set the ring up, did the show, went to the hotel. The next, and that was Casino, the first night, Casino. So that was a good, well, not a great crowd, maybe 80 people, but you know, these are paid shows as well. So it's up to the venues to sell the tickets. Anyway, we go to Evans Head the next day for a Sunday afternoon show, and we're like, oh, this is a little town. It'll surely have, you know, a decent crowd. Everyone was pumped because Casino was a great crowd. We get to Evans Head, and we're like, oh, what time are you guys letting people in? Oh, we don't know. What's it say on the poster? I said, oh, don't think it says it on the poster. So we're there. We set the ring up, and then the time for the doors to open up begins, and nobody's at the door.
Oh.
Not a soul, not one person. And I have experienced that before, not as a promoter, but as a performer. Maybe I'll tell that story as well. But no one out the front. And by the time the show started, there was, I think, 18 people in attendance. And 10 of them were grandmothers that went with their grandsons.
This is a big jukebox?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So the venue had done no advertising. They hadn't told anyone that we were there. I guess they were hoping that we would have an audience there that would sell tickets.
We did do advertising.
They didn't.
No, we did.
on our website and stuff, yeah. But how
Like,
many?
even the individual wrestlers did as well. So.
Yeah, but how many people does that reach?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I don't know how
in
many
Evans Head.
how many people from Evans Head have been following.
So
stuff.
there's 18. There was 18 people there in a town of maybe 3,000 to 5,000, and we still had to do the show because we're contracted to do the show because we get paid to do the show. So everyone went and did their match, and it was one of the worst nights in All-Star history, or one of the worst days rather. And Keegan said that day that he'd never seen me angrier, and I was not happy. They asked me to turn the music down during the wrestling show. I'm like, they booked a wrestling show. What are they expecting? It's all about loud music, loud falls, big hits. But no, they had a bingo game next door, and they didn't want us to interrupt it. So at that point, I'm like, well, fuck these guys, and we just did a show and got out of there. That was the worst time. And then the drive home, oh my goodness. I was with Aries. Aries is not a fun person to ride in the car with.
He just chucks his headphones in and
Yeah.
sleeps.
All I wanted to do was sleep, but no, because you're in like
It's
this
wrestling etiquette.
We're in this small truck, all right? So Mitch is sitting there, and like it's my turn to sleep. So I put my legs up on the dashboard, and Mitch is like, "Go away, Aries, put your legs down." I'm like, "Mitch, let me sleep."
Yeah, he gets violent when he's asleep.
Yeah, but then
Is he
when
kick off?
He's a kicker.
yeah, Mitch is a snorer. So.
No. I've got no adenoids, so that's not possible.
We have both witnessed Mitch snoring. It happened,
I don't think it's possible.
and it happened. I was so tired that
Until someone records. And
I
shows
didn't
it.
re-
Yeah,
didn't
it's like
report
the
it.
prior allegations we talked about before. If there's no proof, it
So-
doesn't happen.
So what happened was, right, I had fallen asleep. But I woke up, I don't know if the puppeteer ran over a pothole or something, right? And I woke up, and all I hear is, and I was like, but the puppeteer's driving. That means Mitch is snoring.
Nah.
And I looked up, and Mitch has his head back.
Yep.
And he's like, right? But I just went, Mitch is snoring, and then went back to sleep.
Hey, but in my defense,
Actually, no, I didn't record it because my phone was dead.
you're lucky me.
Yeah.
In my defense, if it comes through the mouth, does it count as snoring?
Anything that has the sound of
No, but someone
Snoring.
Google it. Someone Google it. New box. I think it's only a snore if it comes through the nose. Now,
thank you, Shane.
I'm sure I make a lot of noise through my mouth when sleeping and when awake as well. I'm a
A
talker.
snorting or grunting sound in a person's breathing while they are asleep.
All right, then I'll cop to it. Yes, I'm a snorer.
Yeah,
But not
he
through my
said it out of his own mouth.
not through my nose though.
Still sorry.
I can't snore through my nose because I've got no adenoids.
Yeah.
But through my mouth, yes, guilty as charged.
It
And I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed.
was just funny. So,
You know who also snores? Aries.
I do. I got that dad snore, bro.
Yep.
That's nothing to be ashamed of.
No.
I could sit in a
It's a
chair.
very manly act to snore.
yeah. I don't know if I snore, I'm asleep while
I could be
And I never had this issue as a child or anything, but yeah, I guess I snore through my mouth.
I could be
Soon.
standing up against a wall and fall asleep, you know.
Yeah, no, I've seen him like sleep standing up. He'll stand up and go
Yeah, that's happened to
and
me
fall
before.
asleep.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
I've seen Aries sleep in a wrestling ring,
I've seen him
Under
sleep
a ring.
under a wrestling
under a
ring.
ring, in
Wow.
venues.
At a night to remember before the show.
Underneath the merch tables.
Yeah, we were setting up the ring, and everyone was like, "Where's Aries?" And then I got a message from Aries saying, "Box, I stole your hoodie," and he went backstage somewhere and took a nap.
And you can never find him either. He finds like
Yeah,
hidden
you
places.
find, like in like little like cleaning.
He puts
like,
himself in a
storage
cupboard
something.
or
Nah, Paxto, I'm only in two places. I'm in either the locker room where I always sit, or I'm upstairs in the podcast room.
and no one ever goes in there unless there's something that
unless
needs to.
be
be done.
Yeah.
That's where he is. I'll keep that in mind.
I like it because it's cold, it's dark in there. It's great.
He's
It's
like
when
a
the lights are
turtle.
off, yeah.
He's like a turtle, cold and dark.
Yeah, I remember when we because that's where we used to record the podcast, my previous podcast, and there used to be like people from the bistro that would walk in and out and just be like, "Oh shit," and turn around. And it was super funny. Mr. Hardy Production says, "Where does All Star go from here after the Newcastle show?" we go to the iconic Padstow RSL just around the corner, August 19th, Proving Ground.
That's right.
Um,
And then Narendra, a to be announced show, which I won't name.
no.
Then Padstow again.
Yeah.
Then a Collecticon.
Yeah, we have a Collecticon in September, and then I think there's
So
one.
there's 4 shows in September.
And then there's
We've got
one.
a lot of shows coming up.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then there's, I think, a Padstow show in October.
Yep.
And then we've got Collecticon and Padstow in November again.
Do we have the most shows out of everyone before the end of the year? Or?
I think we do the most shows in the state, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Now, let me actually have a look at the website and see how many we have. I've got it open.
Well, I know last year alone I did, it said 52 matches.
You double up on some of them, though, but yeah.
Yeah.
So we have the 12th of August, we have Still Sydney Madness. That's our Newcastle show.
Newcastle debut.
19th of August, we have Proving Grounds.
Yep.
The 2nd of September, we have Narendra.
Yep.
The 9th of September, to be announced. 16th of September, so a week later, we're doing Padstow.
Yep.
And then the very next day, we're out of Penrith for Collecticon.
So we'll be setting the ring up at 6 a.m. for that one.
But then you can just leave the ring on the truck.
That's what I mean, yeah, but we've got to set it up that morning.
Yeah.
Or maybe a little bit later. It won't take 4 hours to set it up, but
Yeah. And then we've got a month off, and then we're back the 21st of October for a Padstow show, the 18th of November for a Padstow show, and then the 26th of November is our last Collecticon for the year. And then we finish off the year with the 16th of December.
so the
All
big
available on
interview show.
www.allstarwrestlingaustralia.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know about that tab, but there's an upcoming events tab where you can like check our upcoming shows and you can mark like which ones you're available for in your calendar, which ones you're not.
Well, I used to, when I was working, I'd always tell them I'm not available these dates, and then just list the dates for the rest of the year.
Because you wanted to come to the show.
I did.
I see a big question there, so we'll read that comment and then I'll tell the Charlie Haas story.
Southgate says, anyway, guys, I'm off going to listen to the Attitude podcast. As tomorrow I'm taking my girlfriend to the Eels game, that game. So take care, legends. Love you, Aries.
Love you too, Southie. See you later. Have a good
What
one.
a
Take care, Joel.
Eels 13 plus, mate. Put your house on it.
Who do the Eels play?
The Titans.
I don't like to comment on the RL.
Yeah, but that's because you're a Dragon supporter, Chief.
That's why I don't like to comment on it.
I don't like to comment either.
Yeah, you guys aren't doing too great either.
Neither are you. What's your team?
Hey, we got pumped by the Warriors.
How many years
but
in a row did you
that
get the
was
wooden
our
spoon?
reason. Alright.
Our audience hates the footy talk. We know that. We know that.
Southgate says we don't play Dragons till round 27.
Well, thank God for us.
Shea Costello says I really hate Queenslanders. Look, we all hate Queenslanders. I think There's no Queenslanders in our crew, is there?
She didn't
Yeah.
say Queensland. She said
Billy
Spiders.
Billy
Oh,
Mack and Jesse
Spiders.
Daniels.
That looks like Queenslanders from here. I'm blind. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say no. I love my Queenslander men, so I'm going up there in November.
Box is trying to cause some problems with the
Sorry.
Queensland audience.
Mr. Hardy Productions says let's go Sharks. Piss off, mate. No one cares. All right, the Charlie Haas story.
So you were a fan at the time, Box.
I was.
Have you got some questions about it, or should I just? I feel like I don't want to be too long-winded with it.
I will just quickly. So I rocked up to the show. It was October. What was it? Path to Destruction.
Path of or part
Path of,
two,
Path.
something like that.
Something about destruction. And I sat front row and I was like, I'm ready for some Charlie Haas versus Ryan Eagles. It was going to be great.
Oh, I saw they got replaced with Tyson Gibbs, and right, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I was sitting there and I was like, oh man, like this crowd isn't huge for ex WWE superstar.
Yeah, so let me explain that. I think because we run like our audience is from all over Sydney, all over Newcastle. We got fans from
Well, that show was also on a Friday.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So we got, and I think we've even got a fan that comes from the ACT, like one group of people. So if we run on a Friday, people have got work and they can't.
For a Friday show, I reckon we did good.
Nah.
For a Friday show.
Some people would be happy with 80 people in attendance, but not me. But
Friday.
yeah, so a lot of our traveling fans either would have found it very difficult to come to that show, or they couldn't come to the show. Like the ACT people, no chance. They would have had to take a day off work.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why the crowd was down. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, well, great, Charlie Haas. And then the show opens, and Mitch explained that Charlie Haas did not board his flight.
No, Keegan did.
Oh, was it Keegan?
Yeah.
Right, commissioner at the time.
Yep.
Said that Charlie Haas didn't board his flight and wouldn't be in attendance. And that was that. And everyone was like, oh well.
Yeah,
and then-
4 people went to the table to get a refund. That's it.
Really?
4 people.
Wow.
The rest were just there to see All Star.
And to be honest with you, it was a fantastic show.
It was a good show, yeah.
It was a good show. What was the tag team title match? I think it was Caesar and Hell Yeah versus Morgan Rose and Otis.
Yeah, without warning. That was a Padstow street fight.
So street fight. That was a fantastic match.
So to give the story on Charlie Haas, I think we explained it publicly.
Well,
at
yeah,
the time.
you put it out on Facebook, and that even made worldwide news.
Well, wrestling news.
It made international news. It was on Chris Jericho's website. Charlie Haas didn't.
Yeah, because people thought he'd passed away. So we were told that he hadn't passed away, and he just didn't board his flight.
Yeah.
And the reasons were scattered. It went from mental health issue to a substance issue to he legitimately missed the plane. So I don't know what happened. But we sent our people to the airport to pick him up for this 3-day tour, and he just didn't turn up.
Right.
And we're like, oh, where is he? Maybe he's stuck in customs. What's happened? We're trying to contact his agent. Couldn't get in touch with anyone. Then we were told, oh, he'll be there, but he'll be there tomorrow, which would have been the Saturday.
Yeah. And you were leaving the Friday night for casino.
Yeah, but there was a group of wrestlers that were meant to travel with Haas.
Yeah.
They were there they were leaving Saturday.
Okay.
So we were waiting for information on whether he was turning up or not, and he never did. And then he just disappeared for 4 or 5 months because he obviously owes me money. We paid him a deposit.
Yeah.
And flights as well, which we couldn't cancel because he just.
Well, because you didn't know that he wasn't going to board
Yeah,
them.
well, he just didn't board them. He didn't get on the plane. So, we're out thousands of dollars, and we keep asking Charlie's people when we're getting this money refunded. We don't know. Charlie's in the hospital. Shelton Benjamin was apparently involved at one point, which I think was maybe a fabrication.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a really negative thing. And I was actually paranoid the next time I used a fly-in because so much can go wrong with a fly-in talent, But we've used Billy Mack, who flies down, and Ultimo Dragon as well. So my anxiety over that is now gone.
Yeah.
But it was a big concern, and I feel bad every time we've got to let down, the All-Star fans who pay their hard-earned money. There was people excited to see Charlie Haas, and we couldn't deliver him, unfortunately. But we did give Steph DeLander a show later.
Yeah.
And then someone else as well.
What did you think of Steph DeLander?
I didn't hang around or anything to have much of an opinion.
Who
To
did
be
you
honest.
wrestle on that show?
Wrestled Ricky South on
Yeah,
that
that's
show.
right.
But you felt.
Aries' favourite match of his, the Ricky South match, wasn't it? What's your favourite Aries match? I said it was the Ryan Eagles match.
Yeah, you said that before we come on, and I agreed with that one. I did like that match.
Guys in the comments, let us know your favourite Aries match. I'm
I
curious.
think my top 3 is Aries. It was me and Ricky. I like the
You and Aries?
me and Sid Parker,
That was a good one. Yeah, there's highlights of that on the YouTube channel.
and then
Which one though? There was 2
The first one.
The one on the truck.
in Aladar.
No, the one in the actual venue, and then the one between me and Morgan. And then number 4 will be a very close me and JD, the Cootamundra street fight. That was fun.
Yeah, that was a good one.
JD Strauss. I wonder what happened to him.
Yeah, man.
Mr. Hardy Production says, why don't you do more shows on a Sunday?
Um,
I feel like
Go ahead. What's
No,
your view?
I feel like-
when you think about it, so Fridays, majority of the time, a lot of people do Monday and Fridays. Friday's the last day of the work, and they got Saturday, which is the day off, and then Sunday is their last day to relax before they go back to work. So
Yeah.
if you run it on a Saturday, you have more people who are willing to come because they still have.
And I guess on a Sunday night, it'd be tough to run it on a Sunday night because people have to get home and go to sleep for work the next day, so they don't want to come out. Because we finish shows at 9:30, 10 o'clock sometimes, and then people like to hang around. So people aren't getting home till 11, 11:30, especially they got work the next day.
Yeah, so my experience and what I always learned is Saturday is the premier night. So you can do well on a Friday, but I was always taught that Friday is the second best, and then Sunday is the third best.
Right.
Sunday
Sundays are the
Sunday
Sunday.
afternoon though.
Yeah.
You want to do like a 1 or 2 o'clock show, and it never draws as well as a Saturday night. Saturday night's the premiere show. We have done Sunday shows though. We did a St. Mary's show on a Sunday. That one we talked about, Evans Head, that was a Sunday. So there has been Sunday shows, but Saturday's always better.
Yeah, well, I've been to the Friday show, the Saturday shows, and the Sunday show.
Yep.
And the Saturdays, head and shoulders above them.
Personally, I love a Sunday show though because you can get in, do the show, got the ring packed up and on the truck, and you're home by like 6 or 7 o'clock.
True.
As opposed to getting home at 3 a.m. with crippling stomach pain while everyone unloads the ring while you watch.
Yeah. Look, that was rough. That was a Friday night though, wasn't it?
No, that was Saturday.
Was that Saturday?
No, Friday. That was Bateman's Bay the other day.
That was a Friday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were lucky. You got to go straight home.
I drove
You drove.
3.5 hours back.
Impressive. That'll be a nice thing on your hours, won't it?
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, that night was rough. I think we touched on it last week. That was my first ever wrestling road trip experience. It was interesting.
Unfortunately, it's part of the business. You know, it's a traveling business. I hate traveling as well. If I could run every show in Padstow, I would. But it doesn't work that way. Yeah, but you get an offer to go and do a show, and they're going to pay you thousands of dollars to do it. You can't really say, "Oh, give it a miss," you know.
Yeah, fair enough. And when you're traveling with the puppeteer and myself, it makes it so much more worth it, doesn't it? Man?
Well, I have people I prefer to travel with, and you two are pretty good, so I won't say anything negative there.
Yeah. Fair enough.
What have we got going on in the comments section, Alex Box?
Shay Costello says you're welcome, Alex. I think she might be a little bit behind. I think.
Oh, she's behind on the stream.
Yeah.
Okay.
Possibly.
What other story did I say I was going to tell?
You were a performer and no one turned up.
Oh yeah. So when I was a referee, I was working for this promotion for a guy named Matt Wolf. He ran a promotion called Pro Wrestling Showdown, I believe. He was running a show in Newcastle, and this was before social media advertising was a big thing. So we didn't know what the crowd was going to be. We didn't know his pre-sales. There was no way to really, that information wasn't readily available. So we turn up and we're like, all the guys are dressed, they're in their gear. We're in this hall. There would have been probably seated 150 people. And I'm there and I'm peeking out of the curtain. It's my mentor, I guess you'd say. They're like, how many people out there, Mitch? And I'm like, there's one. I'm like, oh, okay, I hope it gets better. And 10 minutes later, I peek out again. How many people? I go, one. They're like, oh. So turns out the promoter didn't promote the event. One person who was like a hardcore wrestling fan turned up because he'd seen it on like MySpace at the time. I'm aging myself.
Wow, you are old.
Yeah. Makes me sad.
Aries, were you ever on? Were you around for MySpace?
No.
You're only 3 years older than me, I think.
Yeah, I was never on the MySpace, but I got to be on the Firefox computers.
Oh,
with, the word arts.
Yeah.
I got to play cool math games before I got taken down.
Yeah. There's a run.
The pupperias, pizzerias.
Yeah.
So anyway, one person turned up and we're like, oh well, we still got to do a show. There's a paying customer here. So the promoter comes backstage and he goes, oh, who wants to work tonight? There was a guy that had traveled from like Queensland. There's a guy that had traveled from like southern New South Wales. And there was another guy who traveled up from Sydney, and they said, oh, we'll wrestle. So they refunded the guy to their credit, and they we did a triple threat match that I reffed. I said I'd ref it. I'm not taking bumps or anything. Who cares? So I reffed it, and
So you put on the show for one guy.
well, I didn't.
No, I'm saying, but the promotion put on.
Yeah. So they put some wrestlers in the crowd and they filmed it. And it was this one match, I believe it was Luke Miller versus the Sarge versus someone else, but don't quote me on it. And one paying customer and maybe 9 wrestlers in the crowd.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's up.
And it was sad to see because the guy, the promoter, he was always very nice to me, and you could tell that he was pretty shattered.
Well, I mean, I guess that's what happens when you don't promote the event, right?
Well, yeah, you gotta. It's in the title, promoter. You gotta promote the event. It's so much easier now with social media.
Yeah.
Because back then you'd have to do like flyer drops, leaflet drops. You'd have to go through traditional media.
Which I guess we still do.
Yeah, but like nowadays I wouldn't put thousands into radio.
Yeah.
But back then you had to.
Did they even show the interview that me and Wes did?
They did. They heavily edited your voices.
Why?
So you're talking like this. I don't know why they did
Wait,
that.
where do you watch it?
It's on. I'll link you to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember where
I haven't
it is.
seen it yet, so I was like,
Yeah.
So too.
It didn't excite me to go to the event. I'll tell you that. Not because of you guys. They edited it.
do I sound like a
You sound like they made your voice deeper, but you already got a pretty deep voice.
Thanks.
Well, not that deep.
I don't know.
It's like they were trying to make you sound manly when you already do sound manly.
Mr. Hardy Production says, "Who is your next big star you want to book?"
People ask that all the time.
They do.
And I always say that All Star isn't really an international based company. Like, there's some promotions out there that always want to use the internationals, and some of them have great success, some of them don't. My thing is, I want to create future stars. Like when I met Aries in 2022, January 2022, he was not a star. But now, go to Padstow, people are singing his song, Aries, Aries. That's what motivates me and makes me passionate. I don't get excited about booking, Primo Cologne. That doesn't excite me. What excites me... Jesus,
Sorry.
get a handle on yourself. It's just the first name that come to mind. That doesn't excite me. But what excites me is taking a guy who there's potential there, and then through good booking and an appreciative audience, you can make them a star. That's what excites me. So I'm not excited to bring anyone out. I'm excited to create the next big star within All Star.
Yeah, I mean, you look at guys like Aries and Jack Dullahan.
Wes Williams. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Billy Mack.
Billy Mack.
Keegan and Jasmine, you could say as well. Not
Yeah.
that they weren't a big deal before, but I feel like we've taken them to the next level.
Yeah, I think a lot of the All-Star roster has been elevated, I guess, with the platform that you've given them.
Yeah, it's really just the older guys that made a name for themselves elsewhere. But, I'd say Keegan, Jasmine, Wes, Aries, hell yeah, all those.
I didn't know about
had their
any
best
of
runs
those
here.
guys before I came to the All-Star.
There was a very
Yeah.
interesting question that was brought up not too long ago. Was like, where do you reckon All Star would be if you didn't have those names?
Yeah, like if you guys had all stayed where you were.
Yeah,
Well, where would you guys have been without All-Star?
I reckon we probably would be nowhere. Not gonna lie, you can only get so far wrestling in certain places.
I'm curious to go boom star.
I think
Yeah.
I think for me, I just would have been forced to make new stars out of someone else.
Yeah.
Of course, the people that I made stars, they made themselves stars, but I've
Well,
helped
yeah,
make stars.
It's one of those things where
It's a team effort.
Yeah.
I'm just the coach. They're doing, they're the athletes. They're
Yeah.
doing the work. But if I can guide them and help them, then great. And there's not a lot of promoters that have that skill. You would look at a lot of promotions. Oh, what stars have you made? Oh, nobody. But I feel like we've made easily 8 to 10 stars who people want to pay their money to see, which is that's what motivates me. It's not about I've got Primo Cologne in November.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's one of the benefits of working on your own talent instead of booking them.
That's right. And when we do bring a guy in, they enhance the local guys. Like you teamed with the Ultimo Dragon. So that elevates you a little bit.
Wes Williams got to work with Chris Masters.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, got to work
Hell
with
yeah,
Chris
Jack
Masters.
Dullahan, Keegan. Then everyone on that tour got to get in there with Masters.
Keegan got to wrestle with Carlito as well.
Yeah. So, and with the addition of Orlando as well, that's more opportunities for our guys to get in there with someone who has wrestled at the highest level for a long time.
Morgan Rose got to wrestle with Charlie Hart. Oh, wait.
You got to wrestle me.
Hey, but Morgan Rose is certainly talented enough that he'll be there. He'll be competing against a WWE guy. at some point. I don't know if that's on his bucket list. He doesn't strike me as a guy that has that on the bucket list, but that will happen for him. He's talented enough that it will.
And I think he knows his talent. He makes that known.
Well, you see him when he comes to the ring, and you can tell that he exudes that confidence and that arrogance about himself. And whilst I don't like the guy backstage and what he does on shows, you've got to respect that talent in the ring. Same for his tag partner Otis.
Yeah, it's like we touched on with Tony Cruz last week. He's a very talented individual. He may be a bit of a dick sometimes.
Huge dick.
Yeah. Oh well,
He struts around backstage like he owns the joint, but
yeah, I had to hand him his microphone at Bateman's Bay, and he called me an idiot.
Yeah.
I was quite.
He's not a friendly guy, but you can't argue with the talent that's there. That's why he's around. He is one of the all-stars of Australian wrestling.
He is. I think a lot of the roster can say that now.
Yeah, well, you look at events like we like to use the CollectorCon to give new guys a chance or give people experience, or maybe a wrestler that needs a little bit of work or whatever. Now you look at the roster and it's like, well, who do we put on the CollectorCon? Because nobody really needs it anymore.
Yeah.
Now we're struggling to find, active wrestlers who should be on that CollectorCon, and we're actually putting our top guys there now.
Yeah, well, I mean, Aries is.
Aries does all of them.
He does. What a guy.
He loves them.
You look tired there, Chief.
No, I'm not. I was trying to got the training kids that can eventually start doing them.
Yeah. So that'll be the next step. When they're ready, they'll do the CollectorCons and stuff. But for the next one in September,
who knows? Maybe the November one.
Maybe, but the September one, you're like, I'm scratching the beard, trying to figure out, who do I put in there? Puppeteer, he's quite good. He doesn't really need it.
My 18th birthday is 3 days before the November CollectorCon. Who knows? Maybe I can get an Eastern States title shot and say as a birthday present.
He's got the legal age to wrestle.
I think Aries would beat you pretty quickly, though.
Hey, you know what? But it'd be worth a shot. Who knows? Maybe I get a sneaky roll up.
It'd be like the story of Rocky 1, if you've seen it.
I haven't.
The Aries gives you the opportunity of a lifetime, and you come so close, but you lose.
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe. We'll see what happens in November.
Yeah, I guess we will.
What have we got in the comments box?
Um,
Let's talk to our people.
Mr. Hardy Production says, "Can we see Birdman in All Star anytime soon?"
I think Birdman's happy doing his own thing with APW. I love Birdman. He flip flops on how he feels about me, but I've always had the love for him.
I love the Birdman.
Yeah.
Met the Birdman. I love the Birdman.
Oh, well, maybe you'll meet him soon, but he's an entertaining fella. But yeah, I don't think he'll be back in All Star. I think he's happy doing APW and AWE, who I heard had a sellout last night. So congratulations to them. He's happy with that, and the promotion in Queensland, War, I believe they're called.
Yeah, Wrestle something. I don't know.
Wrestle Alliance Rockhampton.
Yeah,
perhaps?
how was your time up in Queensland? You spent some time in Queensland. Was it earlier this year? Last
It
year?
was in February.
February.
So I went to go wrestle for a company, UPW. I met some really awesome people there. I got to use their training facilities for free. They allowed me to just warm up. I think probably one of the I think easily in my top three for ropes to use on the ring. Really good ropes. So there was a guy that I was training with where we were doing all this just spots and moves and stuff, like just practicing and like trying to just learn some new stuff. And then we were like, I was doing springboards off the ropes and stuff, and I was like, these ropes feel really good, like I want to try something. And then we did the Ricochet and Logan Paul spot at the Royal Rumble, and it worked out pretty well. So in Queensland, I wrestled this guy, Draven, for the Featherweight Championship.
There's only one Draven, mate.
Yeah, mate. I was this close from beating him, but he Claymore kicked me in the face. I didn't see it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And you're looking at heading back to Queensland in November?
He's booked already.
I am. I'm heading back to Queensland in November and December. So I'll be back for 2 separate shows for I don't know if they want me to announce it yet, so I'll keep it quiet.
Keep it quiet.
I'll keep it quiet, but I will be back in Queensland in November, December. So
There you go. So Queensland fans, who Alex Box very wrongly called out, Aries will be there later this year.
Up the Blues.
We'll
Get you next.
Queensland, but we're in Gold Coast, but we'll see you there.
Oh, Gold Coast is Queensland. What do you mean?
Some people argued me on that. I'm like, it's the same. And they're like, no, bro, because one's above, one's down. I'm like, but it literally says Gold Coast, Queensland.
Yeah. I mean,
Anyone arguing that the Gold Coast isn't part of Queensland, they're not educated.
No,
I'm
they're
sorry.
not. They're not arguing that it's not Queensland. They were more like saying it's like there's a difference in it. It's like saying that you're going to Brisbane and then going to Queensland.
Oh, there's
Gold
probably
Coast.
a difference between each city.
I'm
sure.
like, I don't know. I live in Sydney. It's all Queensland to me.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, for all you Gold Coast fans, if you're a Titans supporter, I hate you for the weekend.
Box, I don't think any of our people care about the footy.
Anyway, I have to start unfollowing you, bro.
Yeah. Mr. Hardy Production says, will All-Star one day go out of Australia?
Oh, that's a good question.
It is. Do you ever see yourself going international? With enough money, maybe?
We've definitely talked about some, I've thrown ideas about it.
Have you?
Yeah, you throw ideas about everything.
Yeah, me and Keegs are throwing ideas at Mitch all the time.
I don't remember them. What are they?
We're talking about trying to see if we can do stuff in possibly Japan, or if we can go maybe try and see if we can do anything in America. Because me and Keegs were like, yeah, bro, we'll get on a plane and do all-star stuff.
But is that you guys individually, or is that the promotion as a whole?
I think there was a joke about this. I don't know if Aries took it seriously.
I took it very seriously. I'm like, yeah, bro, let's go.
It would be
traveling.
Like you could run a show in the States pretty cheap if you had the right contacts. You just find someone who's happy to slap the All-Star name on. But a case where we're flying our ring in and we're, flying 14 All-Star guys over, I don't think so.
I reckon you get a decent amount of people there just for the fact that it's
an Australian company.
Yeah, just
maybe
to see what it's like,
But you wouldn't get a return on it. But look, who knows? Maybe All-Star one day grows to the point that it has a big international following and there is demand for it. And, maybe someone is kind enough to throw the tens of thousands of dollars, because there are people that do that.
We need to get on
wink, wink.
Get on TV.
Well, yeah, but getting on TV is one thing, but then international TV is another.
Yeah, we've discussed that.
So I'd say it's not likely, but you never know. You never know. I can't imagine the mental torture it would take to run an international tour.
If you were to go international, where's the one place you'd love to go?
Well, I think the easiest would be New Zealand. So that'd be my favorite because it's the easiest.
Where in New Zealand?
Isn't it
Auckland, so we could catch up with Kingston Eclipse.
I think it's I don't know if it's cheaper, but it's closer to fly from Sydney to New Zealand than it is from Sydney to Perth.
I have heard that. Yeah, it's similar time flight.
Mr. Hardy Production says we'll all start get a Fight TV deal. We've also spoken about.
Yeah, we spoke.
Watch the previous episodes. What are you doing?
Nah, he's all right. Hardy Productions. So we've been offered Fight TV before. I believe it's an open offer. We can do it whenever we want. Just not sure the demand is there for it yet. Yeah, I don't think the demand is there, and I don't want to have to fly guys from interstate to try and drum up the Fight TV business. So. Yeah, not for the foreseeable future, but maybe. Who knows? Again,
maybe that's why they promote those 100 international talents. Fight TV.
Yeah, but the person who does that, or one person who does that, who let me in on their secrets, said that the most Fight TV they ever sold was like 70, which isn't bad, but that's $1,400, and you're spending, $20,000 to bring in all the talent. So
I'd buy it for you, Mitch, just to watch it back.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, if you just keep buying the pay-per-view over and over again.
Yeah, look, if you're happy to buy it 10,000 times, you can go on Fight TV.
Yeah, are you happy to do that, Eric?
I'm not going to buy it 10,000 times, no.
Oh, mate, you're on that big.
You know what? I will buy it once, and I will rack up its views by watching it over and over and over.
That doesn't do much for me.
Yeah, that doesn't. Hey, it drives up our analytics, so we can bring in more.
Yeah, I'll share it. I'll share it everywhere. I'll go do flyer runs. Look at this.
Mr. Hardy Productions says he'll buy it.
There you go.
But how many times will you buy it? That's
Just
the
once.
question.
Just
Will
once.
you buy it 10,000 times?
Look, I think that pretty much. We've been going an hour and 20 minutes.
And you haven't plugged our sponsor once.
No, I was just about to.
Go ahead.
I was just
Give him
about
a
to.
plug.
I would like to plug our sponsor. We are the Mitch and Alex show, sponsored by Bulldog Glass and Property Maintenance, who cover all your general property maintenance needs, as well as windows, doors, all sort of glassware. We're also sponsored by Amy's Crystal Cleaning Services for all your general cleaning needs. They do just general house cleaning. They also do cleaning after renovations. So if you need something done there, they are perfect for the job. We're also our newest sponsor, Raptastic Graphics, for any car wrapping needs. If your car paint is old and scratched, or you just want a new color, Raptastic Graphics is the place to go. Mitch, comment.
Well, I can say that I had Amy's cleaning and the Bulldog Glass people here at the house last week, and they both did an incredible job.
Yeah.
An amazing job. The glass is better than ever. The walls and floors are shining. So
If I could show you the floor right now, we will.
use what a fat cat, as people refer to me as use. Use the services that the fat cats of Australian wrestling use. Bulldog Glass. Is that right?
Bulldog Glass and Property Maintenance.
And Amy's Crystal Cleaning Service. Just get around it. I was very pleased.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
You know,
Sure.
I must say that I'm very impressed because every time I watch these podcasts, I always think that you have like notes written right there for you for that particular thing, but that was all off your head.
Yeah. no,
We're all on the fly.
Yeah.
Fair
Look,
play, man. He remembers it off by heart.
and not only that, like the guys at Bulldog Glass and Amy from Amy's Crystal Cleaning Services and the guys at Raptastic Graphics, they're all fantastic people.
The Raptastic Graphics, I haven't used them, but I've heard that they're phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they are phenomenal. They've signed on to be our sponsor for this podcast, and they are just, they're absolutely amazing.
And you're kind of like a sponsor king, Alex Box. Like, you've got 3 sponsors and you're 4 episodes in. Like, what's next? You're going to have the NAB sponsoring you in a month.
Yeah.
Commonwealth Bank.
Nice, yeah.
His podcast is going to be sponsored by Fight TV.
Yeah.
maybe.
He's going to be on Fight.
Channel 9 will give us a
A
2 hour
radio, yeah.
2 hour spot
Yeah.
to just
nice.
chill. Like,
That'd be great. Who knows, maybe one day,
Sneaky.
hey?
sneaky big amount of money.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Which I won't share with anyone because I'm a tight ass. No.
It's true.
I'm
He
not
is.
a tight ass.
Have we got anything else to cover, Alex
Look,
Box?
not
I'd like
really.
to get it to an hour and a half. Where are we at now?
We're at an hour and 23.
Let's kill 7 minutes.
Well, how can we kill 7 minutes? I was about to wrap it up, to be honest.
What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. Have you got anything interesting, Aries?
I've got a lot of stuff, but there's just I don't
Aries,
know.
tell us about your worst ever match.
My worst ever
Oh,
match.
that's
Yeah.
good.
Probably my debut match. I think it's everyone's worst match is their debut match.
Yep.
Um,
Tell us about it. What happened? What was going through your mind as you're walking through the curtain?
Just quickly, I just want to say the worst Aries match that I've ever seen was his All-Star debut against Westwood. Just thought I'd throw that out
well, that was me fresh off AWF, so yeah.
there.
Boom. No, so I think my worst ever match was my debut match, but that was just because of I was, I don't know, I was 16. Whoops. I was like fresh off the boat.
Whoa, what do you mean fresh off the boat?
I was fresh off training,
Oh,
and then
That's not what that means. fresh off the boat means you were like an immigrant, and it's an offensive term apparently.
we all have different terms for how we say things.
So,
I
all
was
right, you're fresh off the boat. Okay.
fresh off all this training stuff, and then I had my first ever match against TNT Greg Bounds. I got concussed in my first ever match.
Wow.
I didn't do too bad actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm getting to it. I did whip me off to the corner with a reverse whip, and then I did a 1-2 off the corner and did a back.
Was this a singles or a tag?
It's a singles?
Oh, so like the Daniel Bryan backflip?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I landed it, and I was like, so cool.
yeah.
And then I hit
Sound
the
like
worst drop kick ever in my life, or as the puppet said, a 5e drop kick.
Look, I'll give it. He has one of the nicest drop kicks I've ever seen.
Yeah,
So
but I've
nice.
watched that back so many times, and I just that's why people come up to me and they're like, "God, Aries, you're such a mark. You love yourself too much." Because I keep watching my matches back. I'm like, "No, bro. It's anyway. You improve. You see what you did bad, and that's what you work on." No, never. So basically what happened was I got set up in the corner, and then like Greg ran at me with like a sort of like a front flip, but like his calf kind of like cracks you in the face.
The rolling kick that he does.
Yeah, and like I got all calf right to the side of my head,
Damn.
and then you watch it. I dropped like a sack of potatoes, and then he picks me up for the detonator, and then that was it.
While you're concussed, he picks you up for the detonator.
And you,
For people who don't know, what is the detonator?
so it's like a reverse
It's an unprettier.
pedigree, right? But his butt's against your head.
Yeah, like the unprettier that Christian did, just not as pretty. Not that Greg's detonator is not pretty, but
Right.
Christian did a very good unprettier. Yeah. So you were concussed, and your trainer continued the match and beat you.
Yeah, I lost, but it's okay because then I think my second match was a tag team, and then from there I just did a lot of tags. A lot of tags.
Yeah.
I felt like I was a tag bound wrestler. And then I did the expansion out to All Star, and that was my debut with me, Hell Yeah, and well, we came out after the segment between Wes and Fergus, and then
Is that a story for next time?
No, possibly. Yeah,
That's
we'll
sort
go
of
into that.
like-
I reckon I could fit it in.
We still got 3 minutes.
I'll fit it in. So Mitch got a mouthful of Greg. It was like, look at my talent.
Yeah, and Aries had told me that he was open to working at All Star, so I wasn't aware that I was doing anything wrong. And Greg blasted me, and he's like, "Oh, my guys are under contracts." I'm like, "What do you mean?" Anyway, and I said, "How am I expected to know which guys you've got under contract?"
I miss the people that I used to work with at AWF, but I don't miss wrestling for AWF. I reckon that where I'm at now, it's a lot better than where I was at. I
100%.
think for my performance wise and just to be recognized wise, I reckon I'm a lot more out there now. I've wrestled a lot better people. I've gotten a lot better because I've been put up against better people. Like we were, like I'm saying, like you can't get better if you're wrestling a. No offense, I love you boys, but you can't get better if you're wrestling the D-Pack every Tuesday of the, you know.
I believe Keegan called out
Oh,
D-Pack
I
as
was
well.
gonna say, Keegan on episode 1 was like, "Who am I gonna wrestle? D-Pack?"
And he
Yeah.
sounded so disgusted by it.
He did.
But that's one of the things that as when you get to that point of you've done this many matches now, it's more like who can I wrestle where I can either improve on or where I can just like display really good wrestling to people.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to take back steps. I just want to keep going forward. But yeah, so I eventually did make the jump, but the jump was because there was a big spliff, which I won't get into because that's like a 2-hour story. But there was a big spliff, and then
A big spliff.
yeah.
Like
Never
it was-
heard that one either.
A spliff is like when you
Yeah.
smoke in marijuana.
Yeah.
There was a big argument
Yeah.
because I rocked up late to a show once.
It was a hubbub.
Hubbub.
Yeah, I rocked up late to a show once, and then I got in shit for it. And then the match that I had that night turned into a shoot fight, and it was a full fight. And then went backstage, and then it was just a shit show from after that. And then I made the jump, and then as this guy said, it was my worst ever match. But I've like I said,
Grown every
step
time.
forward. It's how you get better. It's how you learn. But
What a hubbub.
Hubbub.
Can we? I'm gonna Google
Good
that
old-
up.
good old
Yeah.
Hubbub,
TNT
it's like
we're not gonna get into
like
those.
there was a
Those
lot
are
of hubbub.
horror
It
No,
reminds me of hubbub.
there's a lot of hubbub, which means there's a lot of chaos. Anyway, Box, we've reached an hour and a half.
We have
We've got Bulldogs maintenance and glass. Is that what
glass
that?
and property.
Glass and property maintenance to thank Amy's Crystal Cleaning and Raptastic Graphics.
Raptastic graphics. I'm so glad you plugged this one.
They're your sponsors, not mine. They're interested in the Alex Box business, not the Mitch Kristen business. We'll see everyone next week. What will we talk about? Who knows?
Well, I'd just like to say, I thought we'd plug the return of Big Keegsy B will be in attendance next week.
Oh, don't say that. He might pull out.
Oh, look, he
Where is he this week? He's at the pub again.
he might be at the pub.
He's living the gimmick. I actually
Um,
know there's a lot of allegations that he's a alcoholic. But he's
Yeah,
not.
no, he's not. I think he's at the zoo. He told me he's at the zoo.
All right. He's at the zoo with little Jordan and Jasmine.
he's
But,
with family.
He is.
Yeah.
He's a family man, Keegan, bro. He will be in attendance next week, according to him. If he's not, we apologise, but he should be.
Hey, look, if he's not here next week, we'll put on.
Are we putting someone on the spot? Are you going to be here next week? Maybe we'll have an Aries part.
It depends on work, but I'm happy to be here. Sure.
We will find someone. I personally would love the puppeteer back again.
Yeah, maybe. Look, we will say that if Keegan is on next week, there will be someone else joining us, but I'll leave it at that.
Oh, I don't even know about this. We'll
leave
talk
this
about
at
it
that.
off air.
We will. So we will see you guys next week. And
See you next week. Thanks
have a
for
great
listening. Much appreciated.